Welcome back to the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I'm Colin,
I'm Craig.
and we don't have that other guy with us today, but we're
Jason got
continuing.
him.
Yeah, right. We're continuing our Friday the 13th marathon, and last time we covered the first four movies, and the general consensus was that they're all pretty bad. And now we have the next batch of movies, which covers Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, and Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, with all that being said, let's talk about Part 5, Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. Craig, what did you think of this movie?
Awful, just like the rest.
Oh, God. Is that it? That's your only opinion?
I mean, there was not much to say because they're barely movies to begin with.
So, yes, this one is pretty bad. It's the only one. I mean, it's the second movie, I should say, that doesn't have Jason Voorhees as the killer. Essentially, the big twist of this movie is that it's some guy that they tease in the beginning once. And let us paint you the scene where it's this facility that tries to rehabilitate some people. Tommy's there, and there's this really annoying kid with curly hair who's not 100%. He's asking this one guy named Vic if he wants like a chocolate bar or something. This guy is cutting a tree stump with an axe, and I guess he just annoys him enough where he just turns around and swings away and kills him.
That was probably like one of my favorite scenes that when someone wore Tommy's mask, where he just takes him and throws him through a table.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll get to Tommy in a second, but that's when they tease the killer, who is named Roy Burns, and again, it is so like badly done that I mean, I guess you could say you could see it coming because like it really like I guess focuses on him because one of the guys that was working with Roy, who's a paramedic, he says like, "Come on, Roy, get your hands dirty." And he
I
says
mean, a
something.
little bit, but at the same time, we're told that kid doesn't have a father, so you would, or that he was abandoned. Like you
Yeah.
wouldn't. I would. That's why it's like it's not really a good twist because you're told immediately that he has no. He was dropped off here. No one cares for him. Doesn't have a father.
Oh no,
So
it was poorly
why would
done. It was really poorly done.
why would you assume this strange guy who doesn't even look that much like Jason? Like I
No,
think
he's
like
not built like him at all. This guy's
yeah
like built like a middle-aged man, and
yeah. So
Jason's
again,
like a
like there's
six
nothing
foot four like mountain of a man.
like no reason. It's not like you have, like this jacked guy like the paramedic who's like the same build as Jason to kind of feed into that. Maybe it could be him. Who's the killer? Because you're supposed to think it's Tommy, but even then, like we know it's not Tommy.
Yeah, because we're with him the whole movie.
Yeah.
So another thing that's kind of weird is that one that Roy's a copycat killer. He dons the Jason mask and persona to kill people. And the thing that is baffling is that Roy kills about everybody but the person who killed his son. How did they
Oh
mess
really?
that up? Yeah, they take that kid away in a cop car. Unless I missed a scene, but I'm pretty sure he kills about everybody but the guy who killed his son, which is weird. Now let's get to Tommy Jarvis, the protagonist, the silent protagonist, really. I looked up on IMDb, there's a trivia that says in part 5, without counting some laughing or yelling, Tommy Jarvis says only 24 words throughout the entire film. That's bad. Like, I get that he's, struggling, and I guess you could say the actor does a good job of portraying this inner conflict he has, where he's always sweating and looks distraught. But my god, he says nothing. I wonder what his longest line of the movie. We know he says 24 words, but it's like maybe 12 of those words in one line. I wonder what the ratio of that is, Craig.
I don't think it's in his favor.
I'm trying to think of other things about this movie. It's directed by a porn director. I guess you could say that's another interesting fact.
Yes, when I saw that, I was kind of surprised, but this definitely is. I mean, not that any of these aren't skeevy, but or sleazy, but I don't think it was the sleaziest one. I think people say this was the worst, but I still think the second one's the worst.
Well, I know, Craig, we keep harping on that. Will you just let that go?
It's not even just the underage girl. Like they were just, I think they were just more general, sleaziness.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Like, curve shots, a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean this one's
nudity.
pretty up there too, but I guess you could say not as bad as the second one.
I don't know. I don't know if it's really a hot take. Because, I mean, again, obviously, when you say it's directed by a porn director, you're going to automatically assume it's the worst, but it's still up there, but I don't think it's the worst.
Another funny scene is that one girl who has what do you call it? Like the emo look of the 80s, I guess you could say. She was like doing that weird dance in her room before she gets killed.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, what? Oh, and they have the guy from Indiana Jones 3 in the beginning, the fedora wearing guy. He's the main, I guess you could say, counselor at Pinehurst.
Oh, that was him?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Well, now you do, silly. And I believe this takes place 5 years after part four. Yeah, because I know in the video game it says Pinehurst 1990, and the final
That was
chapter
the
was 1984.
well, that was the thing too. Like I remember, like just seeing how accurate it is to the game. It's like such great attention to detail, and this is the last map that it's based off a movie, right?
Yes. Yes. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I would love to have been in Manhattan, but
Oh, we'll get to that one eventually. Trying to think of other things to say about part five. It's very forgettable. You know, it's not. I will say it's not the most forgettable ones of the bunch we're going to cover today, but it is. I guess it's pretty distinct that again, it's just some guy who dons the Jason mask and decides to kill people out of revenge for his son that he has no attachment to. Because
and
they dump all of this at the very end when they're in the hospital after Roy is killed, and when he falls off that barn and onto those spikes.
yeah,
Like
and like
it's
it's funny too. Like, cause remember, like they showed like I guess his mask got ripped off, and it was like that's like mold the thing to even come close to Jason's like deformed head. But like again, like I don't think the idea of a copycat killer is the worst idea. It's just again like there's absolutely no hint that it's some other guy. You legitimately assume it's Jason. He moves, kills, does everything just like Jason. Like you mentioned that girl who was dancing in a room. He moved and acted just like Jason. Like you think if there was a copycat killer, maybe he would have done something a little different. Not that, there's much to study, in these movies because they're just schlock, but it just very poorly thought out, made by a porn director. He doesn't care.
and I guess you could say another twist at the end is that they're setting up Tommy to be the killer for the next movie to follow, because I forget the girl's name, but she's that counselor with Fedora Man from Indiana Jones 3. He dies in the movie, but it's her and Tommy and that little kid at the end. And then she goes into Tommy's room. The window's broken, and then Tommy so loudly, like I don't know how she doesn't hear this. He like slams the door behind her, and he has Jason's mask on and a knife. So that means they're teasing a possible part six Tommy as the killer villain. But as we know, Craig, they did not follow up on that
Thank God.
because in part six, Jason lives. Tommy's the protagonist again, played by another different actor, the third time in three movies. And I gotta tell you, Craig, part six is objectively the best movie of the whole bunch by far. It is not even close.
Oh yeah, like I don't think it's any work. Like there's no debate. This is easily by far. I mean, not that it's good, but
I think it's good. I think it's good.
I disagree. But
Really, you don't
if,
like it at all?
not really. But when it
Wow.
comes to these kinds of movies, it's clearly the most watchable and had most thought put into it. Not the
Yes.
dumbest one. Has an actual story.
And it's the only one that has zero nudity in it. And it's the
Maybe
first
that.
one that has kids in it too, like actual kids at a camp.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Craig, what don't you like about it?
It's just like a dumb slasher. Like
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know that's what we're reviewing, but like I don't like them.
Okay, that's fair. I don't take your hatred out on the movie, Craig. How dare you? But what I will say is that this is the
I'm not
first
taking it out
one.
of it. I'm just saying I just don't care for it.
I
I did
like
say it was
this
the
one.
best
Yeah, I
one.
know. I like this one a lot. Even as like a silly slasher film. I guess you could also say this kind of inspired Scream in a way, where there's that stupid meta stuff where they
I
talk
didn't
about
care for
tropes in
that.
movies.
Like I know there was one joke which I did find funnier where I think someone said like, what do we think about this? And then it cuts to the kids going, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh no, it's like that. It's that guy who's digging up the body. He's like that old man. He's saying like some people have a weird idea of entertainment. What do they think I am, some sort of fart head? And then it cuts to the kids, and they say,
Yeah.
"Yeah." So the
Like stuff
best.
like
Oh
that
yeah,
I
you go.
find funnier because like when it has the guy talking to the camera, I'm like, please don't do that.
Yeah, they should have not have done that. But they do a couple good things that are for the benefit of the franchise. And the most important thing is that they have an actual protagonist who has a plan, who's there throughout the movie. And I guess you could say, yeah, it's Tommy's fault for unleashing Jason because the whole point of the opening is that he just wants to burn Jason's body alive. That's his therapy. He just wants him erased from Earth, and everything kind of just gets out of hand when it starts to rain. All of a sudden, he sticks that metal pole in him because he's so traumatized by Jason. I
But
don't
at the
blame
same
him.
time, like
Yeah.
I can't say I blame him for wanting to destroy the body.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. That's why it's like he's not doing anything like super stupid to put himself in harm's way. He just wants to cleanse this from his mind, and he wants to destroy Jason once and for all. And then that's when everything kind of like unravels.
I mean, how
J-
was he supposed to know Jason would get struck by lightning, reviving him like Frankenstein?
yeah. Well, that's another the best part of the movie is that they make Jason essentially immortal, and I think that plays to the benefit because it's like in the other movies. Imagine this: if it took place in like if with competent cops and like in today's time, you would just shoot Jason to death. He's running around a town killing people. The cops and the SWAT team would just take him down instantly. So when you have a guy like this who is essentially immortal, it makes him even more threatening because you're like, how can you beat this guy now? He is literally an unstoppable killing machine.
Well, especially too when you have people like coordinating trying to catch him and stop him.
Which they
Like you
actually
said, you
kind
have
of
the
do at
police.
the end. If it was a regular Jason, he would have been killed.
Well, I mention this because like remember like in the other ones, basically no one knows what's happening until the very end of the movie. People
Yes.
are kind of are aware of what's happening now.
Yeah, and they so once Tommy accidentally gets his friend killed too, because Jason
Oh, the opening.
punches, yeah, right through that guy's heart, or right through his body and rips out his heart. It has that. Daniel mentioned it last episode. It has that James Bond esque opening where it zooms in on his eye, and then he does the walk and he slashes. I know Daniel thinks it's really silly, but in the context of the movie, that it kind of works in the movie because the movie
It didn't
itself
bother
is
me that much,
it's a
but
little
it is
silly. The
silly.
movie, yeah. That's like the whole part of the movie too. So then we are introduced to Sheriff Garris, who is trying to hush everybody about Jason Voorhees. He thinks Tommy's sick in the head, and he thinks Tommy's the one that's actually causing all this trouble. And they soon find out that old Jason Voorhees is back. He has superhuman strength. Remember that one part in the when there's that stupid like retreat with those coworkers where this one guy's like, "I hate women. I hate them on my team." And then Jason like grabs his arm because he has a machete and hurls him at a tree and rips his arm off. It has like probably some of the most creative kills I think in this movie too. At least up until this point. Like it seems like
Yeah,
they actually tried.
I mean, I think probably the best one was like where he basically killed the guy driving the thing to let the thing let the RV crash
Oh yeah,
and
then he
just
like
gets up out of it like nothing had
yeah,
happened.
that was pretty cool.
Again, like because the point like he's basically immortal now, like he's an unstoppable killing machine.
Yeah, and again, like we talked about, it has an actual protagonist. Tommy throughout the whole movie is just trying to stop Jason now, and he thinks stopping.
Jason's out there.
Yeah, I mean he's not a good actor at all. The guy who plays Tommy, Tom Matthews. But again, he voices his own character in the video game, has the same likeness. But yeah,
The
he's not a
Lord and
good.
Savior.
Yeah, he's not a good actor. But this is the best iteration of Tommy by far.
It has a nice jacket. It's like Bane's coat or jacket.
But except Tommy looks cooler and he's more competent than Bane.
And you can understand him.
Yeah. What else? What else? I don't know. I think.
Well,
Oh,
this was something that
yeah. You go. You go.
I feel like for the other movies, when people die, I generally don't care. You know, these people are like degenerates, like
Oh yeah,
bad
yeah.
people. So like when these movies, when people like are, maybe, generally better people. So when they die, it's like I kind of feel bad now. Like, hope he doesn't kill that counselor trying to protect the child. Oh, he does kill her. Hope he doesn't kill a child.
No, he just doesn't kill that one girl. He like fillets her, and there's blood all over the cabin. It's like
But still, it's like
I hope he doesn't kill Sheriff Garris because he's actually trying. He's trying to have law and order. He's trying his best to protect his daughter, and he
being a little tough on Tommy, but it's not like he's, a bad guy.
well, he thinks Tommy's a crazy guy because he knows of him from the past
Yeah.
experience and the Pinehurst thing. I mean, he
It's
got
like when he
folded
does
like a lawn chair.
Yeah. But still, like, he pumped Jason like 3 times with the shotgun. He still got killed.
Yeah, you feel bad for him. He shot him with the shotgun, then he shot him with the pistol. And of course,
Poor
the movie
guy.
ends with Tommy. His plan is to trap Jason, and I think what he said is like his home area or what's home for him. And he
Yeah, he's gonna go
trap.
back to the lake.
Yeah, he gets a chain and he ties it to a boulder, and essentially he ties around Jason's neck and throws in a boulder, and Jason gets cut up by a boat propeller, and then Jason lays there at the bottom of Crystal Lake. Tommy says Jason's finally home. He's with Megan, who we didn't really mention at all, but she's not really that important.
Well, yeah, she was, I guess, Tommy's helper girl
Yeah.
who I guess does something.
She actually is like she does help Tommy too. Like
No, she does, but
no
it's just like
character
I can't
is
remember these
that
people's names.
useless. Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the cast list too. That's how I know some of the names. Like for the next two, I don't remember anybody's name.
I just remember like very basic things like next one, girl with psychic powers.
Well, yeah, we'll talk to. We're not done with this yet.
I know.
And as it cuts to Jason, his eye opens up at the very end, and the only good Jason movie is done, and we have six more bad ones to follow this,
Oh God.
including Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Now, the reason why it's called The New Blood is because they thought this was going to be a new cast of characters that was going to carry throughout the next couple of films, which never happened because the main actress, I believe her name is Lar Park Lincoln. I believe I didn't do too much research, but I said something like she was asking for too much money for the next movie, so they'd have a whole new cast. But as I said, uh, this one's pretty bad. I just watched this today actually because all the ones up until part 7 and 8 I haven't seen in a while, but I remember them very well. And before we were doing this, Craig, I did not remember anything about part 7 or 8, and they're still forgettable. I watched them a couple hours ago. This
I
one
will
is
say,
yeah. You go.
this probably had my favorite Jason kill. I don't really, care to get people get mutilated, but this had one of my favorite kills
Which one is
so
that?
far.
Which one
Where
is that?
the guy's in the sleeping bag and just slams it
Oh
against the tree.
yes, yes, sleeping bag. That's from the game. Oh, I was gonna mention that too.
Because I think like this one, and like when he killed the guy in the wheelchair, you just watch it go down the stairs. 'Cause again, like I'm not like a sicko. I don't really like seeing people's like heads get like smashed and like people get their throats slashed. Like I can't say like I want to watch a movie to see this happen. Like I'm not a sicko.
Yeah, I can see that. But this movie bizarrely has a woman with psychic abilities. Like, what? Long story
Like
short, it starts off in the beginning. Her parents are fighting her. I guess it's alluded that her dad's commits some sort of domestic violence act
a
because
little DV.
she's like, you're hitting mom again. So she goes into the boat that I think she starts with her psychic abilities, and the dad's on the dock. He's saying like, "Get back here!" And then she, in anger, uses her psychic ability, and it takes down the dock and kills him. So then we cut years later to her as an adult, and they're still trying to treat her psychic abilities. Oh, her name's Tina, by the way. Yeah, see, I forget. I have to look at this.
Yeah, like I remember.
Yeah, she's still struggling with her remorse of killing her dad, so they go back to that same house where it happened with a doctor, and they're trying to uh, fix it, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I guess yeah, he that's what he tells him, right? Like gonna help you. I don't know. He
Yeah.
said help you. I don't know if he said cure it or fix it.
No, help. I don't think he can cure that, Craig. That's like a superpower.
I mean, honestly, not that I take these movies seriously, but I did kind of like roll my eyes. Like I know there's psychic powers. I mean, I feel like when you have like a supernatural killer, that's one thing. When you have like a supernatural, like I have psychic powers now, it lost me a bit. Not that it held my attention or
Oh yeah,
suspension of belief, but I was like, okay, now, okay, psychic powers. I mean, come on.
a little OP if you ask me. But she runs after, I guess you could say, a failed uh, breakthrough. I don't know what to call it. She runs to the dock and she unwittingly releases Jason from his underwater tomb. And let's talk about Jason's design. He has some of his back showing, some of his bone showing. His clothes are all tattered, and his face is really messed up.
Definitely, I think one of the cool looks. He still had the chain around his neck.
Yeah, he still had the yeah. Again, it's crazy how accurate the game is to the Jasons that appear throughout the movies. I believe this is the first one that has Kane Hodder as Jason. Yeah, it is. Because Kane Hodder played Jason in, I think, four of the movies. He played him in part seven. I guess not part eight. Oh, that's weird. Could have sworn he did. Oh, here we go. Acting. Yeah, part seven, part eight, part nine. Oh, that's it. Okay. But he's like the most famous one because he played Jason a couple of times. And he did the mocap for Jason in the video game.
Oh, pretty cool.
Yeah. So he definitely is more like I know like for Jason they have a big guy, but he's pretty imposing. I would not want to mess with like that Jason.
He's
Anyway,
also he's also like a zombie running around.
so Tina befriends the people across from her, and they have that one counselor. I forget the counselor's name. The one that has the all blue outfit with the pearl necklace that looks like Hillary Clinton. She's from
Oh
the video
yeah,
game too.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
based off this appearance. I was like, oh wow, that's her. I forget the
That's something
character's
that's why
name.
like also she was like yeah the mean girl.
Yeah.
That's also remember too. Yeah, she's from the game because a lot of my reference to the movies is from the game because I played the game so much but never seen the movies.
I'm trying to think of other things about this movie. Jason goes on a killing spree. He kills about everybody. She kills the doctor, or he kills the doctor rather. He kills her mother. Uh, he kills all the other kids except this one guy who befriends Tina, who's kind of the love interest. I'm using love interest loosely here.
Oh, so I look up the character's name in the game. Is it Victoria Sterling?
Yes, I don't remember. I don't think that's her name in the movie because I don't see no
It's
Vicky.
Melissa.
Oh, okay. Oh, that it says like who's it based off of?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think the character Bugsy is based off of like a Patreon supporter of the Kickstarter or something, like the support of the Kickstarter.
Oh. One seems so brutally murdered.
I mean, I would do that. My likeness being a video game, and you could kill me all day. That's cool with me.
Yeah, I guess.
But
I guess if you love the game that much, you probably want to get killed by him.
but I'm trying to think of other things about this movie because this is the one where I was like, all right, this is a little ridiculous. Nothing really of note happens except the final act doesn't consist of Jason just chasing somebody. It consists of Tina using her psychic abilities to throw Jason around. She literally pops. Oh no! First off, what is it? She when they're going up the stairs back in her house, she controls the lamp that swings and it hits Jason in the face, and he goes through the staircase to the
Oh
basement.
yeah.
As they're about to leave, I don't know why they didn't just leave through the top floor, like through a window or something. They decided to go back down. Jason breaks, like shows up through the basement. She then, after the guy gets beaten up, she uses a lamp cord to tie around Jason's neck, hang him, and then drops him back into the basement. And then in
Brutal.
the basement, he grabs her. They fall down. She uses her mind to spray gasoline at him, and then open up the furnace. He gets set on fire. They escape, and they blow up the house. And if that's not crazy enough, he follows them to the same dock that she killed her father at. And then her dad comes back and drags Jason down too?
That was her dad?
Yeah. She summons the spirit of her father. I'm looking at the Wikipedia summary.
Yeah, because like I don't think I got that from
Well, who else do you think of that way? Did you just think that was just some random guy?
kinda.
Oh no, I knew that was her father, but It's the spirit of her father, yeah, who drags Jason to the depths of Crystal Lake. And I'm like, what? What is happening?
Again, like this is where it's like I feel like it got a little too weird. Again, this is just normally about some crazy, I guess, immortal zombie killer just going around killing people. Well, you have like sleaze in it, and then you make money.
Yeah, I mean, this is just they. I guess you could say they nuked the fridge on this one a little bit because it it's so overpowered that she literally has superpowers. Yeah, Jason's immortal, but he
But
doesn't
that's
even
the,
have.
that's the dynamic. He is the killer, and you can't stop him. You got to figure out a way to stop him. If she's more powerful than him, the dynamic's thrown off.
He doesn't even have to like. She doesn't have to have him approach him. She could beat him up from afar. Like, how's that fair?
She could go, "Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?"
Why are you stabbing yourself? Why are you stabbing yourself? She does destroy Jason's mask because she's. Oh, I forgot to mention that. She uses her psychic ability to tighten the mask so much on his face that not only is he bleeding, but the mask breaks. She
Yeah,
destroys
sees like
Jason's
rotting
mask.
face.
Yeah, his face is so disgusting. They changed his face in this one to part 8, which is weird too. But before we get to that, Craig, any final thoughts on this one?
I think that girl Melissa, her name was Melissa, right? The mean girl.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, well, it's like I feel like she should have gotten like maybe something gotten her come up. It's like she was like the mean girl the whole movie. Like for some reason, just going after this one girl like across it was like the other house next door. And it was just like you think she'd kind of get her
Well, she does, Craig. She
comeuppance.
dies.
Yeah, but it's like you feel like it'd be a little
He doesn't even
worse.
kill her. He like I think he hits her with an axe and then hurls her across the room, and her body just falls into a corner. And Craig, then her body blows up. Like, what kind of more comeuppance do you want?
True, I forgot about the last part. I don't know.
Yeah, this one is aside from the one aspect of it where she has psychic abilities, it is very forgettable.
Also, too, it's like the doctor's like, I gotta test you, develop your abilities, and well, it's like so generic. Like, I mean, maybe for the time, but I feel like movies now where it's like, oh, the military or some guy's gonna unlock your abilities and like get the best out of you and use it to sell, like or whatever. Instant like checking out. I don't care anymore. Seen it
Yeah,
a million times.
there's really nothing. I mean, this isn't shocking when it comes to this franchise, where they don't know what human arcs or character arcs are.
They're not even characters. They're just like a teenager number one.
Yeah, at least like the part 6, there was Tommy. You knew his motives. You knew what he wanted to do. You knew why he wanted to do it. In this one, you understand that she feels guilt for killing her dad, but that's about it. But it's not like it was a relatable accident that, something like that happened. She used her psychic abilities to accidentally kill her dad. Like what? That's not
Yeah, like
relatable to anybody. Not that you want to, but like some weird accident. No one has psychic abilities that can do that.
and again too, it's like why psychic powers? Because I don't think anyone has psychic powers ever again in the series.
They definitely don't, Craig. I could spoil that for you right now.
You know, thing. Oh no, no, no! We're gonna spoil number 9 and 10 for me.
Could you imagine that was an ability in the game? That'd be so
Typical time you
overpowered.
call that girl.
Yeah, she comes in. She's like crying because she's like crying the whole movie, and you could just like pick up Jason with your psychic abilities and throw him around.
I see. I just want to run Jason with my car. I don't want to throw him around. I want to have the satisfaction of just running him over. Like, oh, you want to stop me, huh? Let me
Could you
do that.
imagine if like you could be multiple like instead of like how there's one Tommy in the game? Imagine you could each counselor could be 7 people essentially could be what's her name again? Tina. And they would just be bullying him the whole game. Like they would hunt him down and just use their
That's
psychic.
what we already do.
Yeah.
Imagine how much worse it would be.
I'm glad the game very wisely didn't choose that. And did you see this movie's poster? So there's a knife that's cutting like half of the face, like is right down the middle of Jason's mask on one side, and to the left is Tina's face on the other, and there's like a sparkle in her eye. It looks so weird. The poster.
To be honest, I have not done much research outside watching the movies because I can't stand them.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Like I've fallen asleep in I think all of them except 6.
That's good. That's improvement.
Yeah.
So, Craig, the last movie we're gonna get to today is Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. And this one is definitely one of the most boring ones out there. I know you said you've fallen asleep in all of them, but Part 6, how many times did you fall asleep watching this one?
I usually just gets me one time, like each movie.
Hmm.
Because I mean, if I fall asleep, it's like, I'll be asleep for like 10 minutes. I'll wake up refreshed, angry, ready to go.
Angry. Uh, so this movie's terrible. I think of the ones we're covering today, this might be the worst one. I think it's the most slow-paced one, which is saying something because part seven feels pretty long. But this one is 100 minutes, Craig. It is the second longest Friday movie, believe it or not. And
Yeah, I mean, because most of them like an hour and a half. It's like I can, put an hour and a half of my time, probably extend it a little bit because I'll fall asleep, but to rewatch some stuff. But it's on like almost 2 hours, like wasted my time.
they don't really get into the city till over an hour in the movie.
I mean, I
They
would say like maybe the third act.
Yeah, 64 minutes in. I'm looking at it right now. They're in the city finally. They spend most of the movie on a cruise ship because it's trying to set up this thing where it's like, oh, all these good students are going to the city. And you can easily tell it's not the city. I think they filmed it in Canada.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I see. I'm not an expert of you know the geography of like New Jersey, but I'm pretty sure that the Delaware doesn't have like cruise ships running off it.
I don't know. I don't
I,
know what
I
this
I'm
movie's
pretty
logic
sure
is.
because it wasn't like a famous. Yeah, probably not because I don't think I've ever heard of cruise ships going up the Delaware.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I think I forgot to mention for part
At least that
seven.
far up.
I don't want to backtrack, but for part seven, this one doesn't do it. Almost all of these always recap the previous couple of movies. Part seven did that. It's so annoying. I don't need to see a recap that takes up like 5 minutes. Anyway, back to this one. Jason is reawakened again because of this one guy and his girlfriend in a boat. The anchor hits a power line that
That
is
was so stupid.
connected to Jason that reawakens him. As he's telling her about the legend of Jason, he tries to scare her with the Jason mask, and then Jason shows up and kills them both. And let's talk about Jason real quick. Throughout the whole movie, he's always wet. Even when he's running around on dry land for hours, he's always wet. He gets his mask back, and I'm trying to, he looks completely different. Like his clothes, he got more clothed, I guess you could say. His back isn't exposed anymore. His disgusting chest isn't exposed anymore.
But like I think like his forearms are more exposed, and that's like
Yeah.
it.
So one thing that I hate, but I get in these movies, is when they show underwater at night. Like I'm just looking at a shot right now of the anchor dropping. It's super clear, and if anybody knows anything about swimming at night, you can't see anything. Now, obviously, for a movie, there has to be light, and you have to see what's going on. But it's just like, I guess you could say that's me spurging out a little bit. Like it's like so. It looks like they're shooting it in the middle of the day. It's so bright out.
I mean, they probably are.
Like it's super dark at night. Anyway, yeah, they spend most of the time on a boat. Bunch of nameless teens that I don't even really know, and the teacher and the boat captain, the skipper.
So was he there? I mean, I'm trying to understand his relationship because that girl was his daughter, right?
Uh, don't know. To They're graduating senior class from this high school. He's a biology teacher, Dr. Charles McCullough. I think he's not related to her then. Oh wait, I guess she's her niece. She's his niece, right?
I mean, 'cause it seemed like he had some
Yeah, I think so.
relationship with her.
Yeah, he's always looking out for her. So
Yeah.
there's so many weird like what is going on in this movie moments. The first one is when they go in the city. Some guy like sticks heroin into the main girl.
Well, I can't say why, but
Yeah, but then Jason kills this guy too and saves her.
I don't
Uh,
think he meant to. He probably wanted to have her doped up, but
yeah. What's weird part number two? They hyped this guy up. This guy in the forget his name, but he's the guy wearing the jumpsuit. He's a boxer apparently. I forget. He mentions it a couple times. I think they tried having an underdock or underground like Fight Club. Or am I going crazy? Did they do that in this movie?
I don't think it
Or
was a fight club. I mean, they were boxing,
oh,
right?
they were okay. So I guess there's some semblance of setup and payoff. Like okay, this guy's a boxer. So he has this one moment with Jason on top of a rooftop. And I believe that the behind the scenes they said like this guy was actually punching Kane Hodder, like real punches. And then it's
I
very
mean,
comically.
they couldn't be real because like he kept tripping over himself.
Well, I guess his character maybe not real punches, but he was at least like actually hitting him. Yeah.
I mean, it couldn't have been all that strong because like, no, I'm no expert boxer, but I feel like your feet are very important. Your lower body is very important to drive, the
Well, he was
power to the
also getting
punch.
tired, and his arms were cutting. Or not cutting. I'm sorry. His hands must have been tired, and I don't know. I said cutting. He's probably cut his wrist because I think he was bleeding, or his knuckles. What am I talking about? His knuckles. I think he was. His knuckles are bleeding, unless I'm going crazy. Let me look this up real quick. But long story short, this guy exerts all of his energy punching Jason, and then he says like, "Yeah, give me your best shot," and then Jason just punches his head clean off.
Probably again, third best kill so far.
Somebody, I saw a little trivia. It says this guy named Julius throws punches at Jason for exactly 1 minute and 16 seconds on the roof of a building. Many fans have pointed out that he could have just tried to shove Jason off the roof since the edge was only a few feet away.
Well, that like again, like
Good point.
the scene just dragged on. That scene was the big thing. Like he just kept throwing punches, and then I look at my phone, I look at some memes, go back up. He's still doing it. Go look at my phone again. He's still punching him, and he's like falling over himself. Like, could you just get to the point?
Yeah, just so Jason could punch him in the face, or punch his head off, and it falls into a trash can and it closes. And then they have that one, I'm very sure, expensive shot where it goes around Jason. He's in Times Square.
That's where all the budget went.
Yeah, I mean, the budget was 5.1 to 5.5 million dollars. Probably 3 or 4 million was went to that one scene in Times Square. But another weird part is there's like acid, like uh, trash cans
The
around.
toxic waste.
Yeah, he grabs the biology teacher and shoves him face first into one, and it kills him. And I'm not an expert on New York. I never claimed to be. But apparently, at a certain time at night, the toxic waste gets drained, or like it fills up this underwater, like the underground subway system. Like what?
I mean, to me, it sounds like people's perception of like The Simpsons, where like they literally have barrels of like toxic waste just laying around. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the first thing I thought of. Was like, the nuclear power plant where Homer Simpson worked.
Yeah, like they'll see on the toxic waste things like the radiation sign.
Yeah, like so like Homer would accidentally drink from it or something. And it's like something stupid like that. Like it's like a cartoon. I mean, I don't think it matters, but just that was the first thing I thought of.
So another thing, Craig, when they're trying to escape the sewers, Jason gives them chase, but he gets swallowed up by it. And what's left is a kid. What do you think the movie meant by this? I know it's a child Jason, but what do you think it meant by this?
I don't know. I don't really care. I mean, though the first thing I thought of was even then. It's like that does not look like young Jason. I mean, the
Yeah.
whole movie they were showing you that. I'm like, Jason's head's a little more deformed, but I guess that doesn't sympathize well with the audience.
Oh, and Jason makes a noise in this movie too when his mask falls off.
He
Sounds like an
does.
alien. He like
Looks
screeches.
looks like an alien.
Yeah, his face looks so like good. Part 6 and part 7, but his face in this one looks like comically bad.
Again, I think it was for
I wish we
sympathy
could show a
points.
picture. Like it's so weird.
Oh,
Yeah,
we
you're probably
can.
right.
You're
This,
just lazy.
I mean, I could. Yeah, you're probably right. This is sympathy points. Like, oh, I guess get safe search out of here. They're like, oh, I guess he kind of looks like a child. Like, no, like his face is disgusting. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's a good point. I guess that was what the attempt was. Very
I
poor
mean,
attempt, nonetheless, but still an attempt.
because I mean, why else would they show that, right? I mean, the original one's probably creepier, which I think you probably want to go for.
Yeah, you're not supposed to make Jason sympathetic. He is a lunatic mass murderer. How is any of that sympathetic?
Who
You
loves
get
Macho Man?
yeah, right. And then they just walk away after that, after seeing a child appear from Jason after he gets washed away by the sewer. I can't stress how ridiculous this was watching it.
So you asked that question, was there a point to it, or is it just
I don't
like you're trying to make a discussion?
I guess just try to make a discussion. I don't know. I don't know what their intent was. It
I
makes
mean,
no sense how a child it just appears. Maybe unless they're hallucinating. Like what?
I mean, the thing with these kinds of movies, I don't really want to analyze them because there's nothing to analyze. You know, to them, this is just let's make a dumb slasher, and that's it.
Yeah, that's true. But at least there has to be some kind of logic, air quotes. At least like some semblance of like cohesion or things are
Was he
making
healed?
sense.
His young child self was healed or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know. The main thing is that it is a tease. He does not take Manhattan. He takes a boat essentially. They're on a boat for more than half the movie and they're barely in Manhattan. I think they actually spend more time in the subways than actually in the city.
Well, that too. Like he's really like they're basically could be any generic city. I mean, they go to the docks, basically like in alleyways. Like it's not barely in like the big city.
It'd been cool if we went to like Las Vegas. Oh,
Well,
they
see, like
could have easily like made that more even more sleazy. Oh my God, you think that'd be a gold mine for them?
well, Camp Crystal Lake's not as much closer to New York City.
Yeah, I know. Atlantic City.
That's true too. I mean, they pass it.
Yeah, they could have gone to Atlantic City. That'd be so much more sleazier than like New York, especially knowing the creative teams and what they care about. That was a
I
missed
mean,
opportunity, Craig.
see, I thought it'd been funny if you just have like the whole NYPD opening fire on him, and like you keep like nothing happens. He just keeps walking.
That'd be pretty
Oh,
cool.
but again, that would cost money to hire people. You know,
I mean, I guess Times Square in 1989 isn't what it is now. But imagine you see someone looking exactly like Jason Part 8 with modern day like Times Square with all those cops around, armed, mind you. Oh my
to the
God,
teeth.
that'd be hilarious. They just open a fire on him. He just doesn't react.
He just keeps walking.
He just slowly walks up and just like punches the cop's head off.
Goes into a trash can. And then like you cut to a shot, Madison Square Garden, where someone made a shot and people are reacting.
Yeah. This one is pretty bad. I think up until the first 8 movies we covered, I think this one's the worst because it's the longest, it's the most boring one, and I don't have any more adjectives, Craig.
I mean, I do want to talk about some sleaze. The scene in the movie where like the student tries to seduce the teacher.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that. I
Well,
guess my
it's
mind repressed that. I forgot.
well, because I remember like with the first thing she goes, "Oh, I want to show you biology," and she like, you know, where it takes off her robe, and he's like, "That's preposterous. You can't do that." It's like, well, leave the room. Like, what do you do? He's like, this is so bad. Like, oh, stop, no.
Yeah, that stuff if you could easily remove from a screenplay.
Oh, I mean, yeah. To me, it's yeah, because like it goes nowhere. Like she has the compromising tape, and then the tape gets destroyed, and the guy, everyone dies. Like there's no like they say build up and payoff.
Nah, they don't know what that means, Craig.
It's really just to add more sleaze into the movie.
Yeah. Oh, I guess a fun fact is that they had Kane Hodder dressed up as Jason, and he went on the Arsenio Hall show, and he just did nothing. He just sat there when Arsenio Hall asked him questions. It is
I
so
guess
funny.
I did like that thing that Jason was doing. Like he would just kind of stand there and just kind of like breathe. Because
Yeah.
the other ones, I guess they wouldn't like emphasize the breathing. They would kind of just stand there, which is not a bad choice. But like just seeing him standing there, just like breathing, like hulking over you, it's like, ooh.
Oh my God, I'm looking at the clip now, Craig. He just sits across from Arsenio Hall for almost 6 minutes, not saying anything. He comes on wielding an axe.
I think I sent you this like YouTube videos like our channel like a few years ago, but
Oh, play with Jason.
yeah, some guy who was playing Friday the 13th. He'd always play as Jason, and he was dressed up as Jason. Wouldn't say a word, but there was like the camera on him, so you could watch him play it.
But he would actually react. Like if a counselor knocked him out, he would visibly look annoyed. And he would
Yeah,
change his Jason costume to accommodate the one he was playing as.
it's so silly. Like, why is like it's such a simple like just I think it's genius. I mean, granted, it's like a gimmick for the channel, but still, I mean, for the game, I think it was just funny to
He
watch,
has a 500,000 subscribers.
and he
Guys,
was good at the game
yeah, the
too.
guy is killing it. I know it's just so funny. It's just literally him silent playing a game.
Because like I now like when people play video games, they have to be like loud and obnoxious. They're always like screaming into the camera as loud as they can because screaming gets your attention. Exact opposite. It was nice to sit there and listen to and
Yeah, because
watch.
it's just gameplay and you can occasionally look up in the corner and you just see him just stand, it's not even reacting. That'd be so funny if there's a new Friday the 13th movie and he reacts to the trailer and he just sits there.
I mean, you could do that for everything. Like, he could like sit through all the Friday movies dressed up as them and just sit there and say absolutely. I mean, probably get DMCA'd, but still,
Oh
if it
yeah.
didn't, it'd be funny just sitting there watching him react to it.
There's one comment that just says, "I love how you show no emotion about anything, no matter how gruesome the kill is." Jason's just playing his own game. Yeah, that's a great YouTube channel. But these are not great movies.
Yeah, it's
Ed,
funny. Like again, like all these movies are pretty much garbage, but it did bring us that great game that we all love so much.
yes,
That's shutting down next year, but still, good
that is
times.
true. Is there anything else you want to say about part eight?
Can we stop here? I don't want to keep watching these movies anymore.
No, Craig. We have the last. We're in the last bunch. We got to pull through.
I mean, the next one's Jason Goes to Hell. Does he actually go into like
Why don't you just
physically
find?
hurt?
Why don't you just wait? We'll talk about that next week, Craig.
I don't want to watch it.
So I think that's all we're going to cover today. Our last part, part three, is going to cover parts 9, 10, 11, and 12. Because there's only 12 Friday the 13th movies. So we will get to those parts next week. I'm Colin.
I'm Craig.
And this has been the Unbiased Opinion. We will see you next week.